Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavansam Shri Rupam Chakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Svam Sajivam Shadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaurabhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna.
adjust this thing.
That's good, yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulanda ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Gaunitai ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Antaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Samaveda Bhaktivedanta ki, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, translated and commented by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Chapter 5, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness, Chapter 5, Text number 11. Ready? Okay. Kayena manasa buddhaya kavelyaya indriya api yogina kama kuruvanti sangam taktva atma sudhyaya Kayaya manasa buddhya kavalena indriya api yogina kama kurvanti sangam taktva atma suddhaya kayena manasa buddhya kavalena indriya api Yogina karma kurvanti sangam taktva atma suddhaya. Kayena manasa buddhya kailevya indriya api yogina karma kurvanti sangam taktva atma suddhaya. Word for word, Kayena with the body, Manasa with the mind, Buddhya with the intelligence, Kalyaya purified, Indriya with the senses, Api even, Yogina Krishna conscious persons, Karma actions, Kurvanti, they perform. Sangam, attachment. Taktva, giving up. Atma, of the self. Sudaya, for the purpose of purification. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind and intelligence and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification. Srila Prabhupada's purport. When one acts in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the senses of Krishna, any action, whether of the body, mind, intelligence or even the senses is purified of material contamination. There are no material reactions resulting from the activities of a Krishna conscious person. Therefore, purified activities which are generally called sadachar can be easily performed by acting in Krishna consciousness. Sri Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu describes this as follows: Iya yasya hari dasya kamana manasa gira nikele swapi avastesu jivan muktasa uchate. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna, with his body, mind, intelligence and words, is a liberated person even within the material world. Although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities, he has no false ego, for he does not believe that he is this material body, or that he possesses the body. He knows that he is not this body, and that his body does not belong to him. He himself belongs to Krishna, and the body too belongs to Krishna. When he applies everything produced of the body, mind and intelligence, words, life, wealth, etc., whatever he may have within his possessions to Krishna's service, he is at once dovetailed with Krishna. He is one with Krishna and is devoid of the false ego that leads one to believe that he is not that he is the body, etc. This is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. Om Agyanti Mandasya Gana Gana Salakaya Chakshumina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapidam Mena Bhutle Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapanantikam Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayani Nirvishesha Shunyavali Pasta Sahistayane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Gadada Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So today's topic will be bodily attachment causes distress. This is an introductory lecture given in Birmingham, in UK, 19 October 1997 by Trubhana Prabhu. So he gives many examples how the bodily conception of life can causes distress. So he starts off, if I'll give you homework, just like when you were at school. I want you to go home, chop off your hand and put it under a bus. Can you put it in a paper bag if you want? You can put it in a paper bag if you want, so nobody sees it. Let the bus run over it and you tell me whether you feel any pain or not. So when the hand is connected to the body, it's very important, and a lot of stress goes into it. You can do so many things with it when it is connected to the body, but when it is disconnected, you can't. Similarly, when your whole body is disconnected from your soul, you can put your whole body under a bus and you won't feel anything. It's that amazing. Isn't that amazing? It's hard to believe that you could be underneath a 15-ton bus and not feel anything. But it is reality. If you're not in the body, how are you going to feel anything? It must be concluded that when you're inside the body, you're feeling things. You're feeling things, but not that the body is feeling things. That's logical, isn't it? So it gives more examples. Just like when you are inside your car, if someone hits it, you feel it. But if you're not in it, you don't feel anything. You come back and you find your car has been crushed. You feel it immediately. You feel it immediately and go into anxiety. Why don't you feel it personally? Reason is that you weren't in your car. But when you are in your car and someone hits your car, you become angry and you say, "Oh, why did you hit me, you fool?" So many things happen. It is attachment to the car. It is attachment to the car disturbing you, not the car. Some people are very wealthy. So he gives another side to it now. So some people are very wealthy. If their car was in a crash, they'll say, "Oh, it's insured, don't worry." Sometimes you crash into someone and they are glad you have crashed into them because they can claim it on insurance. They say, "Don't worry about it, give it another bash, won't you, so that I can get some money on it." They're quite happy for that to happen. I once saw a van flip over and crash into 5 other cars. One guy's car was crushed and he was in ecstasy. Oh great, I've got rid of it at last. He could claim it on his insurance. So it's relative. One man could come and say, oh no, my car, and become a nervous wreck and commit suicide. You don't know what he's going to do. But another man comes and is overjoyed. Why? Because the attachment is different. That is all. The same thing is happening, but the mental attachment is different. When you talk about the self, most people don't know what the self is. Although they think that they know. According to my mind, I am body. I am English. I am 40 years old age. I have got a job, a flat, a girlfriend. I have got so many thoughts in my mind telling me things. Those thoughts are not telling the dead body the same things. You find this in old age homes. You go to see them in hospice and they'll tell you, I'm sorry, he's gone. You say, where has he gone? He's lying on the bed. No, he has gone. It looks like he is not on the bed, but he is not. You argue, no, look, for goodness sake, he's lying on the bed. I see his legs, but the doctor says, no, he has passed away. So these are very important things to understand. Otherwise, we are living in an illusion. If we don't know who we are, how could we possibly make ourselves happy? If you say, I want to be happy, who is that I that wants to be happy? If you say, I want to be perfect, what is that I? In the material world, people identify with the body as a self. They think, I am this body, but that means you get old and you get diseased. That is your whole story in life. I can tell you what's going to happen to you in the future. I'm a fortune teller. You're going to get old and you're going to get diseased and you're going to die. You can't tell that to every single person on this planet. You can't tell that to every single person on this planet. Whether it's a worm, a human, a goat or a chicken, you can go up to them and tell them about their futures. You don't need to be a professional. You don't need to throw anything in the air to make any kind of cosmic arrangement. If a person takes on the body, then he's going to get old, then he's going to get diseased, then he's going to die. We all do the same thing. The only difference is that we have individuality and therefore think differently. That thinking process is very important. One, our thinking is the beginning of our problem, not the body. Many people think that the body is a problem. You may think, well, my body is causing me misery, but the body doesn't really cause you misery. It is your attachment to the body that causes you misery. Those who are attached to the body suffer and get pleasure. Those who are attached to the body suffer and get pleasure. Krishna says, mantras pasas tu kuntaya shutas tu kudagada, that there is a certain amount of pleasure and distress in this world. These are called relativities. We live in a relative environment. It's very important to study the word conditions. When we say we are happy, it means that the conditions are making us happy. When it is sunny, one feels happy, but another man feels miserable. If you're in Saudi Arabia and you say, it's a sunny day today, that doesn't mean you're going to be happy because it is 128 Fahrenheit. But for another man living in Scotland, he may say, today is sunny, and he feels happy. So it is not the sunshine that is making him happy, it is a relative condition. Another example is water. Sometimes if you jump into water, it makes you very happy. Many go to the Mediterranean Sea and jump in the water and they feel very happy. But at the same time, if you jump in freezing cold water, you won't feel happy. Does that mean that the water is causing misery, or does it mean that the water is causing you pleasure? The water doesn't cause pleasure or pain. Water is water. What causes happiness and pain is how you relate to the water. What is your relationship with the water? If you are in the middle of winter and you jump into the water, you are going to have a good relationship. Okay. If you are in the middle of winter and you jump into the water, you are not going to have a good relationship with water. You are going to freeze. So you become unhappy. The important thing is our relationship with that thing. The thing itself is not the problem, it's our relationship. The body is not the cause of our suffering, it is our relationship with the body. Many people become disturbed when they get older and their hair starts to fall out. It is not a good thing when you comb your hair and suddenly half of it falls out. Or if your teeth fall out at breakfast, you are having your cornflakes and you find your teeth in your cornflakes. To some people that would be very disturbing because they will start to think, what is going on here? The body is starting to disintegrate. This happiness with anything material, it doesn't matter what it is. You can pick the most beautiful rose, it will only last a certain time and then you throw it away because it starts to bug you. The same rose that you gave to your loved one starts to look like a shriveled up old flower. A boy gives a girl a beautiful rose and she gets very excited, but that same rose, when it becomes withered, becomes disturbing to the mind. The natural inclination of consciousness is that we are attracted to certain conditions. Krishna says that we are attracted to certain conditions and we are repulsed by other conditions. We love our body. It is the best thing that we've got. We think we aren't going to get any better. We think we aren't going to get any better. It could get worse, but that's not going to get much better. We can put on all sorts of odors and color and makeup and all sorts of funny things to make it look a bit better. We can get a bit stretched here and a bit stretched there, but the point is things are not going to get much better. We are very attached to our body. Attachment isn't to the body, but the specific condition of the body. We want to be in a very good condition, but unfortunately the body itself is influenced by circumstances beyond our control. The important thing is control. Who is in control of this thing? Just like if you are in a car going down the motorway 100 miles per hour, it can be a great ride. It can be great, right? You are enjoying yourself, listening to your stereo playing music. But if your driver is suddenly falling asleep on you and the car is swerving this way and that way, he's insisting, no, it's all right, don't worry. You are in anxiety. The same thing that was giving you pleasure now is giving you tremendous anxiety. Nobody goes looking for distress. Nobody wants to get stressed or anxious. Anxiety is when our mind is disturbed. This stress comes whether we want it or not. Even if you decide, I'm just going to sit on my room, I'm just going to sit in my room and I'm not going to go out because because when I go out I get stress. You still get stressed even when you just sit somewhere because suddenly your mind starts causing you distress, causing you stress. It starts saying, what are you doing here? And you reply, I am sitting here. The mind says, what are you doing? You shouldn't be sitting here. You reply, no, I want to sit here. No, I know, but you should be enjoying yourself, really. And then the mind says, you should be enjoying yourself. You should be happy. You're as miserable as sin. You are a miserable and rotten person. So that reminds you, oh yes, I should be happy. I should mix with people. As soon as you start to sit in that place, you get into these mental anxieties. In actuality, whether you are inside, outside, upside down, downside, you are going to be in anxiety because the material world is called kunta, that place which gives you anxiety. The conditions of this world are created to give you anxiety. The person controlling these conditions is called God. God created the material creation for a specific purpose. It doesn't just happen accidentally, as people like to think. Behind every activity there is an intelligent design. There is an arrangement behind this universe. There is an unlimitedly powerful design, the desire of God, just like you and me. He has a personality, he is a person, and he's a designer. We also design things. We design things because God designed things. In the Bible it says God created man in his own liking, and and to his own image. The difference is that our design are very tiny. We design a car or an aeroplane, but this planet is like a big aeroplane floating in space. In 2.5 billion years it hasn't crashed yet. If you could have an aircraft in the air for 2.5 billion years and it didn't crash, that's pretty good safety record. The universal order is so wonderfully created by God. He doesn't create crashes. We are the ones that are on this planet doing all the crashing and criticizing him for mistakes. We're the ones that have messed up the atmosphere. We're the ones that have messed up the water system. We're the ones who have messed up our lives. And we're the ones who have messed up the countryside. We're the ones that have messed up the education of our children. We're the ones that have messed up our relationship with each other. We're the ones that have messed up our political systems. And we're the ones that are fighting with each other and killing each other, murdering each other, raping each other, stealing from each other, and we are all blaming God. We are all sitting here saying, look, what a mess you have made of this place. This is our consciousness. Because we are cheaters, the material energy is created under specific laws that it works without one single microscopic movement beyond what God wants. Some people will turn around and say, well, why do bad things happen then? That's always the anti-Christian argument. Or another argument, if God is so great, why doesn't He let that happen? The point to understand is that as an individual entity, we have unique individual independence, and according to Vedic knowledge, the living entity comes to the material world to execute his independence under certain laws. We are infinitesimal, and we are a tiny particle of God. Therefore, we have an infinitesimal capacity. It is like one ray of sunshine has the quality of the sunshine, but there's a little molecule of the sun in your room. You can't say that the sun planet is in your room. Similarly, we are a tiny fragment of God. Therefore, we have the qualities of God in a very fragmental, tiny proportion. In the material world, we are acting according to certain desires. Everyone has a desire. That desire is called separatism. We are separatists. Separatists means we have a separate interest from God. Spiritual life means to have no separate interest from God. If you want to know why you are suffering in this world, it's because you have a separate interest from God. Who is a good example of someone who's supposed to suffer but actually doesn't suffer? In the Christian religion, it's Jesus Christ. He was crucified on the cross, but 3 days later he was walking around because he had no separate interests. Those who have the same interests as God are not controlled by material laws. The living entity, the soul himself, does not belong to the separatist environment. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this material energy is my separate energy, and consisting of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. The soul has nothing to do with these energies. The soul belongs to the spiritual world with God, but because he has forgotten the eternal relationship with God, he is living in ignorance. Krishna consciousness means to wake up. Wake up the consciousness to understand that this entire cosmic universe is God's. His sporting ground. His sporting means you do something because it is there to give you pleasure. God enjoys creating the universe. He created it in the form of Vishnu. Why does God enjoy creating a horrible place? That is a common question. It is because He desires to fulfill desires of every living entity. We are part of parcel of God, so for us to pursue our independence of God, He gives us a particular type of body. Just like if you have a son or daughter, they may want to do things that you don't want them to do. Many parents experience that. When their children grow up, they want to go here and there and listen to a certain type of music and hang out with a certain type of people. They have a different philosophy and different value system. So what does the father do? He has to accommodate the child, even though he may not agree. Because there is a relationship with the child, the father allows the child to have some freedom. Sometimes the child wants to go to a disco. The father and mother say, no, it's not good to go to these discos. You might meet this guy. This might happen. That might happen. But at the end of the day, most parents end up giving up the children money to go to the disco, even if they don't want them to do it, due to affection. Similarly, the living entity wants to enjoy independently of Krishna, and Krishna has affection. Man proposes, God disposes. Krishna creates the facilities. There are a lot of people on this planet who say, I'm having a great time. I don't give a hoot about whether God exists or not. It doesn't mean anything. Have good money, I have good facilities, I have good enjoyment, I don't need your love. If you have a problem and you need money, fine, but I am having a tremendous time. I think this world is wonderful. It's not that everyone is suffering. There is a lot of people who consider that they are having a great time, but when people suffer, that's when they blame God. You never see anyone writing an article, oh my God, look what God did. I won a lottery last week. Why should he go and do that? I have now got the burden of winning 16 million pounds. Why do people only complain to God when things are wrong? When things are going good, nobody thinks about God. And when things are going wrong, that is when he blew it. That's when he made all the mistakes. That is when he did his homework wrong. That's when he got his arithmetic wrong. God did everything wrong. When things don't go the way you want, then he's big bad guy and he should be sacked. Or sometimes they say he's dead or senile or he's an old cripple in hills. But when everything is going right, there is no mention of God. People don't remember God when they are enjoying themselves. It's only when they are suffering, and that is why suffering exists. It's there to remind us, to awaken to us to remember that we don't belong to this environment. This is not our environment. Why? Because it's inferior. Anything separate from God is inferior. Of course, on a higher level, there is no separation from God, as He creates everything, so it's all His energy. But this energy created in the modes of ignorance. When there is ignorance about God, there is misery. If you take a 5-year-old child from his mother and put it in a Hilton hotel and give it all sorts of wonderful facilities, the child will cry its eyes out, because the separation from the mother is intolerable. It doesn't matter what you give the child, it will not be happy, because the child cannot be happy without the mother. Similarly, the living entity cannot be happy without God. It's not possible. He may entertain himself for a while. He may run around for a while, hoping around, thinking he's going to get somewhere. Or he may have so many illusions, but in actuality he can never be happy. The misery of the material world is the mercy of God. It is a concession of God, because He is showing us, you don't belong here, fool. Wake up. Understand, this is not your real position. Old age is the kindness of God. When you get old, you begin to awaken. If you see any church in this country, I will guarantee you 95% of the congregation are people over the age of 50. You go to Hindu temple, you'll find most of the congregation at least over the age of 40. You go to any synagogue, it's the same thing. At the same time, if you go to any nightclub or disco, you'll only find young people, and you won't find anyone talking about God. If we all remind young people, we would all still be hopping around in disco for millions of lifetimes. So therefore, it's the kindness of Krishna that He shows us that when we are ready to go to the disco. He shows us when we are ready to go to disco. Ouch, my back hurts. Oh, I'm getting too old for this. Have you ever heard the phrase, I'm getting too old for this? Krishna, out of His kindness, is telling you, hey, listen, it's time to get serious. This old bag of bones that you have been dragging around of all over life is starting to deteriorate, and that is why there is so many hospitals. Wherever you go, there is always big hospitals with lots of people moaning, on my head, on my arm, my back, because actually Krishna is telling them, listen, you don't want to come back here again. Finish your business in this life. Don't waste another lifetime. That's why the material world is created so wonderfully. It provides a certain amount of pleasure and provides a certain amount of pain. And in between, you have to make decisions. Your position is, you can either say, okay, I want to stick it out here and fight to the death and see if I'm going to be happy, or if you're intelligent, you can say, I have done this thing long enough. I have smoked cigarettes before, I have had this before, I have had that before. I have chased about the opposite sex. I have watched thousands of videos, films, and read the newspapers until they fall out of my hand. I want to start looking for something more. Any questions, David? Because there's still 2 more pages. I don't know if you want to continue. Shall I continue? Okay. Spiritual life means becoming greedy for knowledge. In the material world, people become greedy, but what is their greediness? Their greediness is that they want more suffering, because if you become more attached to the body, then all it means is that you're going to be born, get old, get diseased, and die. Becoming greedy in spiritual life means to be eager to realize that I want to find out about myself. I want to know who I am, what I am, where am I from, where am I going, and who is controlling me. That is the beginning of spiritual life. Athatha Brahma Jinaso. Now is the time to wake up, stop sleeping in the material world, constantly dreaming about that one day that is going to be better, it's going to get better, because I can tell you, getting old, disease and dying does not mean it's getting better. The whole incompleteness is, the material world is not incomplete at all, but it is complete arrangement so that you can understand, actually I have to stop this silly business of trying to enjoy that which is not enjoyable and begin my real business, which is service to Krishna. We have been dedicated to the body, we have done wonderful things and miserable things for the body, but at the same time the body itself does not show appreciation, because the only thing that the body does after you have spent 80, 90 or 100 years cleaning it, looking after it, serving it, bringing in nice food service, all that it does is just falls down, plump, dead. That's the thankfulness. That's his thankfulness. After all that work you did, it just goes boom, and that's not very grateful. Is it? After 100 years of service, in reality it is like a man who builds a big house, spends millions of pounds and years of his time, and then the whole house collapses. How would he feel? Suppose you spent 100 years building a house, putting in nice things in it and decorating it, looking after it, and then the whole thing just goes flash like a pack of cards. Would you feel pretty fed up? You would feel pretty fed up, wouldn't you? At the end of your whole lifetime of serving the body, getting things for it, making sure it's a nice warm bed, making sure that he has a nice bath, making sure that he has a nice varieties of toothpaste to use, making sure that it has got nice facilities, a car to sit in, and all the rest of it. All it does is keel over, and then when it falls over, after all that work, they come and put it into a dustbin. They pack it up. Oh no, get out of here, quick, get him out of here. He's causing a nuisance here. Suppose you're found dead in the middle of Birmingham High Street. What would they do? Oh no, get him out of here. They would bring an ambulance, and then the ambulance gets the body. They would immediately want to stick it in the ground very quickly. Everyone is trying to get rid of it. After all that work that you put into the body, society, and everyone else is trying to get rid of it, if they can't get it into the ground, they'll stick it into the fire, or they'll start chopping you up and using you for experiments and other things. At the end, no one is very grateful for all the service you did. the only response society has is they throw you away. So when you die, you leave a little note saying, listen, I have worked hard in this body, give it a little respect. That's what people do. They give you a little bit of respect. They take you in a nice car away to the crematorium. The reality of it all is that you are an insignificant product of matter that was flapping around for a few years and then you disappear. You are put back into the energy again. The earth goes back into the earth, the water goes back to the water, the fire goes back to the fire, ether goes back to ether, and the mind travels on a journey into the new body, carrying with it all the misconceptions collected. This is called false ego. The special benefit of the human body compared to the species of its spiritual life, human body compared to the other species is that it's for spiritual life. Finishing with this changing body is going to back home. Okay. Any questions? This is lectures by Prabhu, not Prabhu. It's quite deep, isn't it? Quite graphic examples. Yeah. It's quite deep. He gives quite graphic examples. Yeah. Jai. Antarashima Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.